Good morning, everybody. My name is Tommy LeBrocco, and I am a born-again son of Father God.
Amen.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and moved to South Florida at a very young age. My childhood growing up was great, and I come from a very big, loving family, and we're all very close to each other. Two whole rows.
Two whole rows.
Growing up, I had everything I needed and most of what I wanted, and I didn't encounter any major problems until I got into high school. I started smoking weed and drinking with friends, and I thought that was the best way to meet new people and have tons of friends. Everybody was doing it, and I wanted the approval of other people, and I thought that was normal. Despite all the drugs and alcohol, I was always a good student in school. I would get into some trouble, but nothing too serious. When I graduated high school, I went off to college for a little while, but my classes were interfering with my partying, so I stopped going. I started using drugs more and more, and it wasn't long until my use spiraled out of control.
Take it up.
I learned that one from Pastor. I first went to rehab after my drug use spiraled out of control. And I came out of there clean with a fresh start and another shot at life. But it wasn't quick. It wasn't too long before I relapsed, and my drug use picked up right where it had left off. It was around this time that my father passed away from cancer. It was a devastating time for me and my family, and I developed an I don't care attitude. Using more drugs, I started getting into more trouble over the years. And then I met a girl who was an alcoholic, and we decided that the best way to clean up our lives was to get married. My wife and I had a toxic relationship, constantly enabling each other, me with drugs and her with alcohol. And the marriage actually did the opposite of what it intended to do. It made everything worse. My bottom was when my marriage ended when my wife was killed in a car accident while she was driving under the influence. I was in jail and I was presented with an opportunity to come to Faith Farm, so I took it. When I first got here, my relationship with Jesus was non-existent. I started to use music as a way to connect. And I had never listened to any kind of Christian music before, and I found out that most of it was actually good music to listen to. There were plenty of times while I was here that I didn't want to stay here at all, but God placed people around me that helped me through all the times of trouble. While here, I learned a lot about myself, and I finally developed a relationship with Jesus, which was something I desperately needed in my life. Our Class 4, Power to Love, was an awesome class for me. I learned about all different types of relationships and how to act and react in them. 1 Peter 4:8 says, above all, love each other deeply because love covers over a multitude of sins. And showing love was something that I had a hard time doing with people. The person I learned who I am in that class through Christ is not the person I have been. And I now know who I am through Christ. I've been saved by grace. I thought doing drugs was what I needed, but I've learned that I'm already worthy through Christ and I don't need to do that anymore. Before you stands a new creation. Our Class 5, Boundaries, was a class I thought was made just for me. For as far as I can remember, I had developed unhealthy boundaries, not setting enough, not respecting other people's, and letting other people violate mine. I've learned how to recognize most of my negative behaviors and try to correct them before they become a bigger problem. I'm excited about the new direction my life has taken with Jesus at the wheel. I know that if I put my trust in Him, I can do no wrong. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But I must be careful. Even though I am on the right track, I will get run over if I just sit there. And the road to success is dotted with many tempting parking spots, so I must keep moving forward. The past 10 months have been some of the best times I've had in my life, and I'm extremely grateful. God has worked through other people to get me to where I am today, which is a debt that will be hard to repay. I will continue to use music as a way to strengthen my relationship with Christ by playing in Powerline, and hopefully that might possibly encourage other people the way music has encouraged me. I've also recently enrolled in school to obtain a degree in behavioral health sciences so I can maybe pay it forward someday. My favorite scripture so far is Matthew 7:13 through 14. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way that is broad that leads to destruction, and there are many who enter through it. But the gate is small and the way is narrow that leads to life, and there are few who find it, and I plan to walk through the narrow gate. I'd like to thank Pastor Douglas, first and foremost. He's one of the biggest assets that this farm has to offer. And the amount of love and grace that you show to every single person on this farm is just amazing. You know, he has a way of explaining the Bible in a way that everybody here can relate to, which was something I struggled with for a long time. And I can't begin to thank you for allowing God to work through you to save me. Sister Heather, there she is. She's one of the most talented women I've ever met in my life. She has a level of compassion and understanding for people that can't be matched by many. And it's been an honor and a privilege to play with you. Pastor Daniel, all the way in the back. You know, I always cherished all our talks that we had. Anytime I had any kind of problem, you were always there to talk with me, providing all your biblical insight. And I'm thankful to have had the chance to be around you every single day. Aaron Smith, you know, in my opinion, I mean, he's the best supervisor on the farm. You know, anything or any kind of problems I had, I can go to Aaron and he would try his best to help in any way. You know, to all my classmates, I mean, all you guys are awesome. I mean, there was 42 of us that started in orientation. You know, Devin, Mark, Justin, I mean, I love you guys like brothers. You know, and the bond that we formed is lifelong. My entire family, I mean, you guys are the greatest. You know, they've always been behind me 100%. And I'm so grateful to have them. My mom, she's the strongest person I know. And I'm sorry for everything I put you through. And I thank you so much for not giving up on me. You know, I know someday that you will look back proudly at all the struggles I've had that have shaped me into the man I was destined to be. And I thank you so much. Last but not least, God. I mean, when I was counting myself out, He wouldn't quit until He placed me where He wanted me. You know, I hope everybody enjoyed my speech, and if not, I hope you enjoyed your nap.
I'm sure they